Well, hello out there, planet Earth, and happy Friday. Apparently, the summer is about half over already because it's time to visit my kids tomorrow. It's Friday, and it's always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. ICYMI, or in case you missed it, SMB stands for Small and Medium Sized Business. For the last 20 years, I've been a consultant for SMBs, a voice and a sounding board for our business leaders, advocating on their behalf, their employees too. I believe very strongly, everybody, in sharing stories, providing perspective, and creating connection. So every single Friday, you could find me right here on talkradio.nyc doing just that, lending what's left of my mind and my voice to this radio show where I interview business leaders and their advisors. One thing that I've noticed over the years, folks, is that some of the best thought leadership for SMBs, it actually happens on Friday, just about the time we feel the freedom of the weekend coming. However, we're also anxious to start the weekend. These crucial pearls of wisdom, they're often overlooked, they're forgotten in favor of our fun activities and our freedom from work. Here on the show, we take advantage of that weekend freedom and clarity, and we discuss popular topics that are on the minds of those SMB leaders as well as their trusted advisors. Once again, the name of the show, not just a play on words. My last name means free in German. There is a little bit of method behind the madness here, people, as to be expected. So like I said, tomorrow is visiting day. I can't believe it already. It seems like just yesterday we were shipping them off to camp. It's been a pretty decent couple of weeks thus far. They're having a blast. My wife and I are having a blast. We got Sunday softball. As you can see, if you guys are watching out there, we got some jerseys from the softball league on. This is the team that me and my company sponsored this year, but I'm actually wearing another one in this picture. So this is my second favorite team that my special guest is on that I get to root for. I personally been living like a rock star, but also been watching a bunch of them. I spent a couple of days last week at the Stone Pony Summer Stage to see Goose and the Trey Anastasio Band with some of my friends. Great time, great music around here in the summertime. You guys definitely have to check it out. Cousins in town from Florida. They came to escape the heat, although I'm not really sure it did all that much for them. Been spending a whole bunch of money going out to eat, entertaining everyone. I figured that this would be a good time to check in with my accountant for myself and for the benefit of all my friends out there in Always Friday land. So we are going to talk a little bit more today about the human side of accounting. So this is a returning special guest, but just a quick tee it off here. The past few years, they've given us a little bit more of a deep appreciation for how unexpected things can happen and really upend our assumptions and the norm. And there's no question that uncertainty around everything from the equity markets, inflation, macroeconomic volatility, geopolitical issues, regulatory shifts. This stuff has dominated discussions of organizations, all sizes, small, medium, large, mega, all industries and all regions. Still, within the world of accounting, there has been a couple of shifts, especially with the pandemic happening over the last couple of years, that leaders really need to be in tune with, and in some cases, they might even need to lean into some of the trends a little bit sooner than later. Well, as I said, our special guest today, returning guest to the show, he was the 9th person I've interviewed. Today is show 127. His original appearance was in the heart of the pandemic. He's going to give us an update on some aspects of the world of accounting, business management, and consulting, the ABCs. 2.5 years later, talk is cheap. We're on talkradio.nyc. We don't want this to just be talk. The goal here, once again, everyone, use the insight on the SMB landscape and create more impact on Monday morning. Far too often these days, everybody, the businesses I've seen, they're focused on some type of product that's going to solve all of their problems, some type of magic wand, some type of shiny new mousetrap. It just really doesn't exist. One consistent thing out there, personal or business life, products change every single day. You had Amazon Prime Day this week, everyone buying everything. You also had National Friday yesterday. I almost forgot about that. But everyone buying all this crap on Amazon, the stuff changes every day. There's no substitute for surrounding yourself with the right people first and keeping a focus on some type of process that's going to help you achieve your goals. You do that, the right products, the right solutions will present themselves when they're needed by the business. Everything begins and ends with people. So, one of my favorite people hanging out with me today, great show for you, our special guest, returning champion, Jordan Krant, partner and liaison for the executive committee at Adeptus Accountants and Advisors. So, Jordan, He dipped his toes into auditing and attestation in addition to being named one of the firm's tax partners in 2021. Congratulations, my friend. Last we interviewed you, you were a senior manager. He specializes in highly complex tax matters that require critical and creative thinking, but does not single out any one type of tax client. He handles and manages tax returns that deal with individuals, partnerships, C corporations, S corporations, trusts, and gifts that range in all sizes as far as volume and net worth. Jordan is married to his incredible, beautiful wife, Marissa, and has two sons, Tyler and Logan. When their weekends are not filled with sports and carpools and figuring out what field we need to go to and when for the kids, they enjoy going to the movies, amusement parks, water parks, and going to Cape May each year. I know you guys love your Cape May trip. Love to have movie nights and video game nights with the boys, which we'll talk more about movies in a little while. Everybody knows that. Boys are very competitive. In Jordan's spare time, his escapes have been golf and softball. Sounds very familiar. Weather permitting, loves to have the camaraderie and competitiveness that he misses from when he was younger. He went to Rutgers University for his undergrad, went to Monmouth University for his MBA. He is part of the AICPA, NJCPA, and New Jersey State Board of Accountancy. He is a licensed certified public accountant. He's the man, one of the more human CPAs that you will meet. As always, we're going to discuss my favorite questions. Who's your favorite movie or TV show character? What's your favorite movie or TV show? What's your favorite musical instrument? Who's the artist you'd like to hear play it? We asked him before, but he has some updated answers for us. Joining us today from his home base by the Jersey Shore, one of the few CPAs to still maintain a wonderful head of hair. You should check him out next to some of the partners on the website. Jordan, welcome to Always Friday, brother. Welcome back. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me, buddy. I love how you put me next to those three guys right there. It shows you do have hair. Some of us do have hair, you know.
One of these things is not like the other. Anyway, Jordan, as you could see from my recent travels, which we got to get out on the course. It's been a little bit too long, but we need to spend some additional time together and make sure that I'm going to have enough money to live after this summer and finance sleepaway camp, because there's no doubt we're going to need to send them again next year to provide this godsend. In the meantime, let's talk to everyone about you. You were promoted, you have partnership, Mazel Tov. Share your travels with the audience. Tell us a little bit about how you got where you are today.
Thank you very much, Steve, for that tee up. I really appreciate it. So, I mean, yeah, since we last spoke, I mean, my trajectory has really kind of gone really spiked upward. I was a partner shortly after we spoke. Honestly, it was 6 months later, I believe, in 2021, got announced later that year at the holiday party. And really, it's been just expanding just that network and dipping into those fields and knowing who to speak to and who to actually get information from so that we could go further with that. And basically, I have taken my sports and entertainment branch, which I did mention, I think, the last time that we spoke, and it kind of exploded. And really, it just shows that as long as you do good work, people appreciate you, and then they show it the next year. And I've been really, really busy, and busy's good.
You mean professional sports? Nobody's coming to represent us for softball, right?
No, not yet. I'm still trying to see if we can get some sort of contract with the CBA maybe, but they're not listening to me right now.
But it's not just athletes too, Jordan. It's like not to single anybody out. You guys cater to folks of all different shapes and sizes, but folks in the entertainment world too. No?
Exactly. There's entertainers, musicians, social media influencers. See, that's a term you didn't hear about even 5 years ago. Before the pandemic, we have a book of social media influencers and people that handle those clients and help them manage their business with that. It's been really interesting to see how well they do actually and how they operate. It's really been fascinating, actually.
Do you have anybody that makes about $100,000 a month playing video games yet? Because that's very interesting to me. That sounds like a good future for Tyler and Logan.
Honestly, yeah, right. Don't tell my wife that. But e-games is the next. Honestly, it's about to boom. It's been talked about for a while. Electronic sports gaming. You've heard of the Ninja's the most prominent one, but yeah, we have a few of those as well. And it's really not about 100,000 a month, but they're getting towards seven figures. It's amazing how much money, and these teams of, I won't say kids because they're young adults. It's just impressive that this is what our society has, I guess, geared towards. This is what we want to pay for, I guess.
You know, my daughter being at camp and no access to the phones and iPads and everything, a godsend first of all. But you know, when she comes back, I know she's going to get straight back into the idea of YouTubes and TikToking and everything. And I keep telling her, it's like, you're a dance animal. You're in all these competitions in 5 different dance classes, and you love the idea of being a dance teacher. It's like, why don't you make some videos like teaching a little bit of dance and being a little bit of an influencer that way? And it's like, you know, I kind of want her to stay away from the whole thing as it is, but it's like, might as well start making a repository of content, right? Like,
what am I saying? What am I saying now? But
very conflicted here. Very conflicted.
So okay, how many followers can we get? No. Too young, you're too young. No. So I get it. And my boys are the same age as your girls. So they talk about the same thing. Like, they watch YouTubers and playing video games. They're like, I want to videotape myself playing games. And you got to have the personality. And it's like, it's amazing how good at playing video games somebody is.
I mean, like, I get the idea nowadays of like kind of showing people what to do and all that, but I used to see that when it first started becoming popular on YouTube. I was like, dude, who the hell has time to sit and watch someone else play video games? Buy the damn game and play it yourself.
Agreed. I can never understand that either. But that's what we're coming to. Post-COVID world. That's where we are.
I do realize that some of the people do have the game. They're trying to get some tips from all their video game brethren out there. But I used to get like irate. I was like, go play the damn game. Stop watching other people play it.
Exactly. Just play the game. Stop watching. But I want to watch him play. Did you play it yet? No. Go play the game.
Actually, Logan, our engineer, is chiming in. As someone who was formerly an online video game content creator, it's not nearly as easy as it seems from the outside perspective. All right, Logan, we'll have you on the show one day to interview you a little bit about that. But in the meantime, we got to talk to Jordan here. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Jordan Krant, partner at Adeptus Accountants and Advisors. Stay with us. Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business, or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
What really drives success in business? Introducing Intangify, the show that explores the intangible assets that create value and growth. I'm Matthew Asbell, your host and an attorney focused on innovation. Join me Fridays at noon Eastern to discover how innovation, culture, and other intangibles shape thriving companies, from startups to established businesses. We'll share strategies to unleash your business's true potential. Tune in live on talkradio.nyc, Fridays at noon Eastern, and Intangify your business today.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday. It's always Friday. And it's me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. Not just me. We are chatting with Jordan Krant, partner at Adeptus Accountants and Advisors, CPA at large. You used to have a cartoon of yourself on the website. I kind of dug that. Gave a little bit more human effect to it, I thought. But I mean, once you're a partner, you gotta do the nice, tight, buttoned up, type of headshot. I get you. Jordy, before we dive into the method behind your madness, which I know there's lots of these days, I just wanted to take a moment and sit out by by the fire pit, which is a little hotter than usual these days, but just to kick around a couple of thoughts. And I actually grabbed something from the Journal of Accountancy for 2023. I was interested just myself in what's being touted as some of the biggest trends out there in the world of accounting, because kind of like you were mentioning, before the pandemic, like you didn't have any guys that were YouTube influencers, and now you have a practice. Like you're building up part of that as part of the book. So I was kind of curious as to what other trends there have been out there, and there were three top ones that were listed in this article from the Journal of Accountancy. And the first two I kind of thought of as product focus, and the last one really got me. So we're gonna talk about them all. So the first one says your technology strategy will become your talent strategy. Global survey found that 260 CFOs found that nearly half of CFOs, 48%, plan to invest in some type of technology to streamline the finance tasks. And even more striking, nearly all of the folks surveyed, 99% of those making technology a priority, agree that the technology updates will become even more important for both attracting and retaining employees. Now, I certainly get that. Again, I like to be conscious of products and technology, especially if they enable the people to do more and more efficiently and do more with less. But I feel like it gets far too often here that people get fixated on the different types of tech and they don't partner with the right people to implement, and they don't even know why they're using it half the time. But you got to be conscious of what's available out there for sure, especially if you're trying to scale your practice. Number two said the journey to 0-day close will drive further adoption of accounting information through artificial intelligence and machine learning. So AI, machine learning, Chat GPT, all of these things are getting a lot of press lately. Still, a lot of folks who are talking about it don't really have a story as to who they're partnering with for it and why they're even talking about it to get the particular results that they seek, right? And that's where all this stuff should really lead. But number three struck me as something that's very people focused, and I wanted to kind of kick it off here today. It says accounting will increasingly act as a value creation partner to the business. This is really important to me because it's making it a little bit more relationship-based and personal and process-oriented before any of the products. It says in an increasingly complex and interconnected business environment, C-suite leaders recognize that real-time data-driven decision-making is more important than ever. And while accountant has traditionally been considered a numbers-only profession focused on historical data, technology and transformation have repositioned it at the center of strategic decision-making and value creation. See, there's that technology word again, but when you're talking about strategy and value creation, that's something that has to begin and end with people and the right strategic partnerships. So Jordan, this is the method part of the show. This is where we talk about the science behind what you do, which we don't want you to have to describe to everybody how to be an accountant during this segment. But I think the notion of not thinking of you and your team as just people who crank out returns and audits and reports every year and really looking at them as a strategic partner, value creation partner to the business, that's really the lens that people need to look at it through. But give us a little bit of the method behind the madness, the story of what do you do, how do you do it, and how are you going to market for it these days?
I mean, yeah, this is pretty much how I guess, present myself when I'm talking to a prospective new client. You can't just be number punchers. That's what H&R Block is for. You see them once a year. And TurboTax is great for the simplest of tax returns. They do a great job, but being on the right mindset and the same page as your accountant is extremely important in your long-term financial goals.
Not to interrupt there, but if you're at the simplest tax returns you just mentioned, now at one point people might have had very simple tax returns where they're working for somebody, there's no other sources of income, there's no investment real estate, there's no cryptocurrency or whatever the hell people are investing money into these days. But you look at other statistics, like things that say greater than half the workforce is starting to go out in more of a consultancy capacity and doing their own types of ventures. I feel like almost nobody has a simple tax return anymore.
Honestly, a lot of people are going out on their own, and that's kind of where there's my method on how I can help everybody. Basically, people who are self-employed that go out on their own, there's ways to navigate around paying as much taxes as you would normally. And there's just obviously complex on the surface, but once you dive into it, it's not that complex. There's strategies and specific entity creations that are done to save tax money. Obviously, it's about keeping as much money in the client's pocket as possible.
Yep.
Like I said, like you could always talk to somebody once a year to punch numbers in, but that's not really what an accountant will do. For the accountant to provide the full value, you really should be talking to them throughout the year, maybe looking at quarterly financials with them, discussing with them. It's really making sure you're on top of your own business, because if you don't have an accountant kind of guiding you along the way, it's hard to know the state of your business on any given point.
Yeah, I mean, you said something that a lot of people hear out there, and it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And deep down, a lot of people know that. But in some of the dealings I've had in the last couple of years, like I've spoken to folks, some colleagues of yours in the industry, your contemporaries, and things, especially with succession planning and mergers and acquisitions. Look, the pandemic spurred a lot of that activity. People who might not have been looking to sell might be looking to get out now. And it becomes like that last minute conversation of, oh, you've been working for 30 years and I just decided I'm going to hang it up now. So I'm looking for just as much money as I possibly can. It's like, good exits don't necessarily happen that way. And especially when you're talking saving tax money. I've mentioned this example before, but one of the folks that I've spoken to along the way had somebody who sold their business, and instead of a $7 million tax liability, they were able to reduce it to $4 million. That's a ridiculous difference.
Yeah. I mean, knowing the right accountants who have the right partnerships with other the estate planning, it goes into all of that, making sure you have proper vehicles in place, already set up, so that when that occurs, you're not getting hit. $3 million is a big deal.
Yes.
So, yeah, there's definitely strategies, asset protection with trusts, insurance, gifting. It all goes into play, and you can't get that done properly if you're doing it blindly on your own or just talking to your accountant just every April. And
if $3 million is not a big deal to any of you out there, just let Jordan and I know. We'll be happy to put it to good use for you. But so, like, on your website, right? And I don't even know if you realize this. This is in the method part of the show. The whole idea of what do you do is very important. So I appreciate it when the folks I'm interviewing have it nice and clearly laid out on their website. Which bravo to you guys. You have some website facelifts and things you've done since last time, but under the what you do side, it has a couple of different topics that aren't like crazy bullet point. These are the million services that we do that everyone can't wait to throw up on you, but it's very general, like as far as what you guys are saying. And what I liked about it is there's something that's very people focused that kind of follows each like headline. So example, it says, explore our expertise. There's always an expert at Adeptus that brings unique perspective to every client relationship. That's making it more about the client and about the people aspect of it.
Absolutely. I mean, I always tell somebody, we don't know everything, but I say, I don't know everything, but if I don't know the answer, I know my partner does. And it's really about that kind of relationship. And just knowing you're in good hands, you're in the right hands. And like you were mentioning with the whole advisory piece, that's what they're doing these days. A lot of people are merging in. They're kind of separating out the accountant and the test function, and then the advisory services. Really, it's a better service, so to speak, when they're breaking it out that way.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that it's in demand. People are asking for it, but like we kind of mentioned before, the folks that are really on the cutting edge of this and seeing where certain trends are going and where people are kind of going with what they're looking to do moving forward. Again, things like the pandemic. If people are looking to have a liquidity event or transition their business to the next generation, or whatever the focus is, like there's a lot of planning that goes behind that, and it's something I've observed for years working with small medium-sized businesses. A lot of them will think that the business itself is the retirement plan, which is not a bad way to look at it, but there might be 3, 4, 5 other plans that you can have from the same transaction if you're looking for a succession plan. So it has to be more like a strategic partnership with a team like yours. And I can't thank you guys enough for what you do as being a strategic partner of mine for my personal life and my family. But, again, us working together from the payroll HR side, group benefits consulting side of things. I love helping out your clients whenever I can for that.
No, absolutely. And likewise, because as we provide a money saving service just as you do. So, and that's really having the right partners. You're one of the right partners, and it's just making sure you have that family type office feel, so that they have that person to person comfort, because it goes a long way.
I love the family type feeling, and the three amigos right there are cool. Like Allison, not pictured because she was in Brooklyn probably, but love the family feeling. Family
I
run
might be like
firm.
15 years old, that picture. Oh my God.
I was just trying to give you back some of your years, man. But yeah, like the idea of making these types of services personal, I feel like has never been more important, right? To do business with anybody, and I've said this before, you have to like them, you have to trust them, you have to think they know what they're talking about. You have on here audit reviews and compilations. I know that your brother Ryan does a lot more on the audit side, but building trust and solving complex problems. That's again, building trust with somebody is part of the relationship. Not all about, oh yeah, here's all my numbers for the year, plug them into the software, and here's your return.
Right. You got to care. You really have to care about what you're doing and who you're doing it for. And when referrals just start piling up year after year after year, you're doing the right thing. You're helping people, and they realize it, and they're telling their friends basically. So.
In order to care, people have to feel, and the emotional piece, the story piece, the relationship piece is what make people feel. And again, I feel like it's far too often accountants that I deal with, they miss that piece. And it's probably more important now than ever to have that piece, not only to be consultative, but to have the right bedside manner for people. Yeah. So going down the list of stuff that you guys have, it says accounting services. Okay, pretty simple. But then it says to all types of companies at every stage of their development. I had my friend Kelly on a little while back. She does social media marketing and management and promotion. And she says, we meet people where they are. And I think that's an important kind of attitude to have with respect to catering to how people, where the people are in their various parts of their business, right? Because not everybody, some people just started out yesterday. Some people started with nothing. Some people started with $4 million of seed money. It's totally different. So like being able to cater to businesses at every stage of their development is big. What have you seen, like, as far as like what's happened in the last couple of years? There's not only have some businesses looked at shutting down and everything, but new enterprises have started up. I'm sure you've seen some of that.
Seen a lot of that. I mean, well, obviously what the pandemic first did is close a lot of businesses. And obviously the PPP and all that free money can only go so far. A lot of restaurants in big areas had to close down, and there wasn't much that they could do about that. But there was a lull, and obviously people are now coming back. There's a lot more consulting businesses. There's a lot more popping up. I think we're obviously now economically booming. That's why inflation is freaking skyrocketing. So yeah. Everything looks to be back to normal or on the right pace. So far, so good. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, at face value, a lot of times you could say things like that. There's always definitely some things ticking under the hood that you got to be conscious of. But yeah, PPP, ERC, EIDL. I'm going to save those for the next segment with all the madness that's popped up in the last couple of years, because all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of new acronyms that you need to memorize. But you get down into the rest of this list. Business management. We serve the world's top artists, athletes, entrepreneurs, business executives, and their enterprises. This is stuff that very often is cool, especially when you get into the entertainers and the athletes and all of that, because they might have things with their endorsements or tour dates and things like that are not necessarily tax related, or even some of it might be payroll related, but you really have to have almost like a separate department managing some of their business ventures, don't you?
Absolutely. What business management is basically managing not just their personal life, but business life too. So it's a fancy word of paying bills, basically. So yeah, and they have their multiple businesses, but we have that specific branch because we have to have that partner with someone managing the money, and they're talking to us to make sure what the tax liability is going to be, because the income is updated in real time. And so we're always on the same page, making sure they're ahead of the game.
So you have consulting services on here. We help you make decisions with insight and foresight to achieve your objectives. Again, very people and process focused instead of a particular product. And last but not least, the idea of tax services. I know that's your baby. You're the tax guy. You're the tax man. So the tax services, talk about a fun segue into madness. There's plenty of crazy madness we could talk about. What you have under here says turning liabilities from a burden on your business into a strategic value solution, helping you to focus on improving your bottom line, like making a $7 million tax liability a $4 million tax liability.
One of the big reasons why my sports and entertainment client base has exploded is for something like this, where you have these athletes earning money off the field that is not taxed like they're on the field salaries are.
Right.
And you have to come up with these strategic, different strategies to make sure we're saving a lot of money. The guys that are making 7 figures off the field, there's ways to save 7 figures, same way.
Without a doubt. Can't wait to hear more about that, but we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Jordan Krant, partner at Adeptus Accountants and Advisors. Stay with us.
Are you passionate about the conversation around racism? Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. TLC, host of the Dismantle Racism Show, which airs every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc. Join me and my amazing guests as we discuss ways to uncover, dismantle, and eradicate racism. That's Thursdays at 11 o'clock a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
In a post-COVID world, you may have many unanswered questions regarding your health. Are you looking to live a healthier lifestyle? Do you have a desire to learn more about mental health and enhance your quality of life? Or do you just want to participate in self-understanding and awareness? I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each Thursday, I will tackle these questions and work to enlighten you. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will be frank about health to advocate for all of us.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. We are chatting with Jordan Krant, partner at Adeptus Accountants and Advisors. Some great stuff from Jordan here thus far. Very people-centric, relationship-based approach to the world of accounting. Jordy, this is the madness part of the show, the part where we like to talk about some of the artistic observational views that you have out there in the world you work in. No subject too taboo. Anything goes. Obviously, we don't want to compromise client confidentiality if we don't want to, if someone was doing something crazy or whatnot. But there's a lot of stuff that we could talk about here. One of the biggest things that comes to mind for me when I think of you is accountants had so much to be conscious of beforehand. There's certain things that are constantly changing before the pandemic, etc. But following the pandemic, or whatever period of life we're in right now, whatever you want to call it, there is a whole bunch more that you need to be conscious of. And you have business clients, no doubt, that are calling you up and asking you about the PPP money. You know, that's, you know, everybody pretty much got what they were going to get by now. Some people might be asking you about economic injury disaster loans, EIDL. That came up a whole bunch. I personally got a whole lot of questions and did a whole bunch of work around the employee retention tax credits, which, you know, I think, again, even some of the entertainers, entrepreneurs, athletes that you have, if they have investment into restaurants and things like that, it's an inordinate amount of restaurants were able to get back some money from the employee retention tax credit world. But, you know, this is your show, so let's talk a little bit about the madness that's been hitting your world. Give us some stories you have from the field.
I mean, yeah, when the pandemic hit, it was a shocker, obviously, to everybody. But for the accounting field, it felt, you know, we talked about this, me and you, it felt like a never-ending tax season, having them extended to July. And for a good reason, for all these, obviously, free money loans they were offering out at the time, the EIDL loans, which was $1,000 per employee, but they capped it, and PPP money, which everybody was all over. It wasn't until later that the employee retention credit came into play. That came a little bit later afterwards, but there was so much work being done and so much money flying around. Our biggest client, just because our biggest entertainer client, pandemic hit, tour got canceled. So what are you supposed to do? And they had to pay their employees still. So PPP money, ERTC money, there was specific venue venue plans that they came out with as well. Just it was millions of dollars, obviously keeping businesses afloat that needed it because the type of business they were in were severely and significantly negatively affected.
Yeah, not everybody was as fortunate as the liquor stores, right? Liquor stores experiencing the biggest boom ever during the pandemic.
Yeah, we were. I think we were there every other day. I think the first month.
Hey, you're a rookie.
But that's just one. That's just one thing. That's a collection of stories into one. But one specific story I remember happening, and it was just, I guess, maybe just during the time, and it was hard to get people in front of other people just because of age and concern of getting sick. But people were trying to sell their home. It was a hard time to sell, I guess, during that time. But also hard because they had a lien that they had to get taken care of. So I was like, the hoops you have to jump through in a time of crisis. Someone's trying to sell their home, they need the money because COVID has ravaged them, and it's just jumping over hoops. But you take care of them. You get on the phone with the IRS, do all the right things. Eventually, it takes care of itself, and they were very happy. So, I mean, it's trying to take care of people in bad times.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one thing when there's some type of global macro event that's happening, and we've seen it with things like 9/11 in the past and all that, it becomes more important than ever to really kind of bind together and lift each other up as much as possible. And there were definitely some people who in some ways exploited it, in some ways rightfully, profited from this time because they had the right plan, the right approach to helping people around them. But it's it definitely feels like one of those times where everyone needs to pick each other up.
Exactly, and I know that in that same era, I guess, so to speak, they came out with just more ways to communicate. Obviously, Zoom is used frequently now. Microsoft Teams, all those companies having different platforms now so that people can communicate virtually a lot more than we ever used to. So that's definitely a change, I guess, in the game. And I remember at one time I was at a sports summit in Miami, and we meet many different vendors for our sports agent client. But one specifically got me interested because it was mid 2021, the summer, and it was with Meta. They had the concept behind the movie Ready Player One that we don't need virtual, like we don't need to go into the office anymore, or we don't need to go see our accountant anymore. We're just going to virtually talk to him in the metaverse. We're going to have our avatar. They're going to have their avatar. And I'm a huge fan of that movie. So I was like, wow, I got to look into this. But 2 years later, I don't think no one has asked me if I have an avatar in the metaverse yet for my accounting practice.
But that, I mean, it brings up a couple of good points. Like these are things that might not have been questions a while back. And now there might be some questions surfacing about it from some of the newer clients that you're dealing with and working with.
I know exactly, and I'm looking at some of these Facebook comments that are coming in with us. But yeah, PPP. I mean, PPP is not a thing for years now. It was up and gone. You can't use it anymore. Same thing with ERTC. They're done. So hopefully, whatever businesses were able to stay afloat can stay afloat. I haven't had any crazy stories, I guess, with companies trying to finagle any kind of PPP money. Thankfully, I don't have anything because we won't do that. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we are right now.
For the employee retention credit side of things, folks can still submit, I believe, for 2021 because they have 3 years from when they have up to 3 years from when they filed their quarterly returns to amend them, right? They could still do it for 2021.
They actually extended the statute for those specific returns as well. But you're right. It started at in March 2020.
Right.
All the way through Q3 2021. That's when it ended. So if you were eligible, you can still amend for that. You still got time. A lot of money to still the IRS will get back to you. So I wouldn't wait.
Yeah, no, definitely don't wait if you guys haven't done that yet. Anybody who needs help with that, you get in touch with me, get in touch with Jordan. We can either help you ourselves or point you in the direction of people who can help you with that. It's stuff that definitely needs to be taken advantage of in the right time frame. Let's change gears for a second. Like you were talking about the sports summit and the idea of the metaverse and people like, we don't need to go back to the office anymore. It's like I love the idea of holding virtual meetings and virtual podcast meetings and all that. It's great. Yeah, but I don't like being completely mandated to do that. There's no substitute for going and shaking hands and giving hugs and kissing babies and having drinks. When we go play softball, which we ended up doing during the pandemic, There's no substitute for that. It's amazing. Which, by the way, another subject of madness is you're the one of the only ones in the league who doesn't wear a hat just because you want to show everybody that you still have hair as an accountant. So that's the only reason you're not wearing a hat right now.
It's a good thing that Joe was able to keep the 2020 season that summer because we needed it in the worst way.
Worst way.
Just being around people again, it was such a big deal. And you're right. It's still today, still in our office right now. We have people working remotely, some full-time remotely. And I'll be honest, I don't like it. I want to be able to talk to
a human being.
Yeah, a human being. I want to be able to talk to you when I want to talk to you. I don't want to have to wait for the email to come through or get on the phone. I'd rather just walk around walk 18 steps and have a conversation. So
yeah,
it's worth a lot more than this virtual stuff these days, I think.
So yeah, I agree with you. Again, the being enabled to do virtual meetings is huge, but not being mandated to do it is tough. Like it's nice to have the flexibility. Again, no substitute for talking to people in person. And one thing that's been super fun for me this year and super fun for some of my other parent friends is that last year I only had one child at sleepaway camp. Now I have two. So they don't they're free from their devices, no phones, no iPads, no nothing. Which is a huge thing to me. It's like, I feel like they need that time to be a kid, just the same way that we needed the time to be a kid, like to, go out and play softball and all that. And we still need that time now. Let's face it. It's the only way outlet, one of the only outlets that we have. But yeah, it's like when you're working for a small, medium-sized business, if you have access to things like a flexible spending account, as an example, lets you put away pre-tax money for dependent care. Things like daycare, day camp, and even sleepaway camp, where mom and dad are working, right? During the day, you can use pre-tax money to pay for those types of things. And it's something I'm thinking about, some things I want to talk to you about today. I was like, you know what? It's a good thing to bring up because now I have a massive sleepaway camp bill I got to pay for.
A lot of times people will ask me, what can I do to save more money? And when it's the people who are only W-2 employees, the answers are limited. I mean, when only W-2 and I don't have anything else, don't own a home, no investments, so the answers are limited. I always say, what retirement account options, what type of pre-tax saving options is your employer offering?
Are available
You
to
should
you.
max out all of them if you can. That's how you do it. And like you said, you're getting, not for the camp, not only is it pre-tax, you're lowering your W-2 income, you're getting a credit on the back end too for the dependent care credit. So double benefit right there.
Actually, triple benefit. The kids are
gone
for 7 weeks. That's a huge benefit. I mean, I do miss them. I'm very excited to see them tomorrow, but oh my God, the ability to think a single rational thought here and there is pretty good.
I can't imagine. My wife would never allow the boys to go to sleepaway camp. Not that the older one would want to, but no. I am jealous. I have to admit, I'm jealous.
I'm getting texts from a couple of my parents right now. They're like, "What are you doing today? Let's go to the beach." I'm like, "Nah, I still got to work and do stuff, man." Right. Good stuff, man. It's like whether you're talking, your personal business life or both, like we just were with, if you're working for a small, medium-sized business and they give you certain vehicles to save the money pre-tax, take full advantage of that as much as you can. That's a song I've been singing for the better part of 20 years, and I'm quite frankly shocked these days at still how many people need to hear it.
Obviously, and if there's a 401k or a 403b, if you're a teacher or work for a nonprofit, I mean, max out if you can. Don't say no simply because there's no match going on. I actually had an employee in my own firm a few years ago. We had to convince that you're wasting years that you could put away money tax and get a benefit short term each year. You're wasting money and wasting time by not doing it. Don't wait for the match. Do it. The match is a bonus.
Sometimes it's so refreshing when you and I have these kind of exchanges of thought and everything, because I had this exact conversation with my 19-year-old cousin in from Florida yesterday, and he was like hanging on every word. I was like, wow, it's like I actually feel insightful right now, but it's all the stuff that we kind of talk about and preach about on a daily basis. But absolutely, man, you got to be fully aware of what kind of benefits your employer is offering and seize them as much as you can when it comes to tax advantages and all of that, for sure.
Absolutely. You don't want to lose out on any kind of, disadvantage by not taking that into account. So just make sure you're optimizing your savings, maximizing those savings, and thinking about long-term retirement, because at some point, we don't want to work anymore.
Most people, I'll end this little chat of this part of the show with this. Most people would rather retire on their terms than be retired on someone else's terms, especially if that someone else is the Grim Reaper. So I'll leave you with that thought. We will take a quick break. We'll be right back with my man, Jordan Krant, partner at Adeptus Accountants and Advisors. Stay with us, everyone.
What really drives success in business? Introducing Intangify, the show that explores the intangible assets that create value and growth. I'm Matthew Aspel, your host and an attorney focused on innovation. Join me Fridays at noon Eastern to discover how innovation, culture, and other intangibles shape thriving companies from startups to established businesses. We'll share strategies to unleash your business's true potential. Tune in live on talkradio.nyc Fridays at noon Eastern and Intangify your business today.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. We are chatting with my man, Jordan Krant, partner at Adeptus Accountants and Advisors. Some great stuff from Jordan here today, really giving more of the human feeling and element to the world of accounting. Again, in order to care, people have to feel. In order to connect with these people, you got to build a relationship with. You got to get to know them. They have to like you. They have to trust you. They have to think you know what you're talking about. Jordan, I know that the new partner headshot looks good, but I can't get away from the cartoon aspect. That really makes me feel at home with you guys.
I remember when that first came out. It was so, everyone loved it. It was so cool. It was so great. And I don't know what happened. I don't know why they just did to get rid of to botch it, but they're like, I don't think we look professional enough. So I guess they decided, let's go with professional looking pictures, get rid of the cartoons.
There you go. There he is. So, yeah, Jay Krant at Adeptus CPAs, direct phone line 732-595-3116. Jordan has offices in New York, New Jersey himself. There are also Adeptus offices on Long Island and in the DC metro area. So they have clients all over the country and more. So please don't hesitate to reach out to Jordan. Jordan, this is the message part of the show. Once again, the whole idea from Weekend Insight to Monday Impact. We want to give people some thoughts to really ponder over the weekend while they're enjoying their cocktails and sweltering Sunday morning, afternoon softball that I'm very excited for. Over and over again, the big thought that I kept having with your world these days is that you can't just wait until tax time to talk to your accountant, especially if you're an SMB owner. You need to treat them as a strategic partner for the business and be candid with them. If you're thinking about getting out in 10 years, talk to them about that. Make sure that you have as much runway as possible to plan the ideal exit, the ideal succession plan, the ideal transfer of generational power and wealth. Don't wait until it's go time. Make sure you're as proactive as you possibly can. But that was just a thought from me. How about some from you?
I mean, costs are rising. I mean, everything's more expensive. Gas still high. Interest rates terrible. If you're not conversing with your accountant throughout the year, it's just a value you're not taking advantage of, and you could be losing money in the end. There's quarterly planning that should be taken into account. Yeah,
You actually brought up something just now that I meant to ask you about. So thank you for reigniting my brain. You know that needs a lot of work these days.
yeah,
But the electric vehicle side of things. So gas is still expensive, like you said. For a while, there was a tax credit for New Jersey, and then I remember there not being one. Then there was one reinstated. So is that a question you're getting a bunch from business clients about whether it's personal or business related? If it makes sense for them to go the electric vehicle route?
both actually. And yeah, and there was a time that the electric vehicle credits were around a lot, and then they dried up, didn't have any left. But then the IRS renewed some more. So honestly, it still depends. Each dealership was given a specific amount of tax credit money, so they only have enough to give with what they have. So it depends. But if it's if it's eligible, it's a nice credit. Definitely do it. And lease versus buy is a question also that goes into play on saving tax money.
I'll save that argument or debate or whatever you want to call it for another day. I've had people make plenty of cases as to why they think it's a good idea to lease. I can't ever justify it for me. I'm sorry, I can't. But the electric thing I have been wondering about as of late because my wife's been driving to Trenton for work 3 days a week. So kind of want to save on the gas, you know?
Of course, and I always wonder, like, well, gas is expensive, but how much is the charge? You got to plug it into home. What is the actual cost of those of that electric current in there?
And then a further question: what if you have solar panels on your roof like I do? So I don't think I'm going to see. I don't think I'm going to see too much of a difference if I get one. I haven't been crazy gung ho Tesla and everything. I'm into it, but it hasn't been like my top priority choice as it is a lot of other folks. But I'm becoming more intrigued by it. I personally want to do one of the electric pickup trucks, but too much dough right now. We got to get some more fan base and sponsorship.
You like the trucks. I know you like those trucks.
Besides being proactive and everything, Jordan, like what else, like words of wisdom for folks out there, especially following. Look, we sat down and had an interview just when the pandemic was going on, before people started getting the vaccine and everything. Years later, some things are different, some things are the same. But as far as business practices and thoughts that SMB folks can ponder over the weekend, what do you got for everybody? Give them some
tax laws are always changing. It's not, taxes are no longer as simple as they used to be. The tax return changed. So to make sure, if you're going to do your own research, do it diligently, but just know that the tax law is a lot more complex than what they show on the surface, and every state is different. So make sure you have the right, family in your pocket to make sure you're talking to the right people and you're saving the most money you possibly can.
Adeptus Partners, CPAs, accountants, advisors, a family-run firm, lots of partners involved now, lots of ground covered. Again, JKRANT at adeptuscpas.com, or give Jordan a call direct, 732-595-3116. Jordy, obviously, thank you so much for coming back on the show, being a return champion. Great stuff for everyone. Hope they were paying attention.
Pleasure, Steve. Happy to be back anytime.
Before I let you go, though, we have to do this. I'm going to give everyone the answers to my favorite questions, which we asked again this time. Who's your favorite movie or TV show character? What's your favorite movie or TV show? What's your favorite musical instrument? And who's the artist you'd like to hear play it? So last time, you said your favorite movie character was Will Hunting from Good Will Hunting. Since you had some time to actually catch up on some TV and movies during the pandemic, you got obsessed with Game of Thrones and Arya Stark. So I wasn't expecting that one from you, but Arya Stark wielding the blade and everything. It's definitely I could see it. You could be a Game of Thrones character. Why not?
I would take the Night King down. Don't you worry.
She wields this little sword named Needle. It just looks like one of the tools that you come in with the CPA work, just ready to attack. I like it. So, updating the movie side of things. So before you'd said The Truman Show, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Now you're into the Spider-Verse. So I haven't seen this one yet, but Miles Morales becomes the Spider-Man of his universe and must join with the other folks. This whole into the universe, Spider-Verse, metaverse, whatever, I feel like it's all related. You were talking about the metaverse before. Is that a spin-off of the Spider-Verse? How does that work?
Similar multiverse, if you're a Marvel fan, the Doctor Strange movie that came out a year or two ago, the whole multiverse is expanding, and they're trying to group all these movies into intertwine. At some point, they're all going to mesh together. We'll see.
I feel like Marvel and DC are all doing the same thing, different universes, time travel, everything. It's like I've always been a fan of all that stuff, but damn, it's hard to follow the plot lately.
It is hard to follow. I mean, Marvel's having a hard time right now because they're losing a lot of viewership because they're just flooding the market with content. But I'm still a fan. I still love it.
You can't mess with superhero stuff, right? And that's we look pretty good as cartoon superheroes. I'm not gonna lie.
I like it. I love it.
So last time when we were talking music, this has been a more popular answer of my friends on the show. So you said the drums and Travis Barker, and we switched that up to the guitar and Joe Bonamassa. So is Joe playing at PNC this year?
I don't know if he is. I gotta find out.
Blues rock guitarist, singer, songwriter, started his career at age of 12. Just a rock star through and through. 15 solo albums. He's won 3 Grammy Award nominations. Just awesome. Among guitarists, he's known for his extensive collection of vintage guitars and amplifiers. Just a force to be reckoned with.
He's incredible. I don't know if you've ever seen him live, but he doesn't play in front of large crowds. It's a nice, like boutique type of, I guess, settings. And he's just strumming away. And it's just, you just close your eyes, you just listen. It's great. He's great.
And it said he started his career at age 12 when he opened for BB King. That's huge. He opened for BB King when he was 12.
Amazing. When I read about when he started, I was incredibly impressed, really impressive. And he just plays it like he can close his eyes and do it. It's amazing.
Yeah. Use the force, baby. Yeah, Jordan, I know it's tough for you to get some time. I know, again, the whole pandemic feeling like one long tax season, and even with years and months that followed, it was very similar feeling. But I know that you're taking a little bit of a breath right now before you have to wrap up everything else. But I do appreciate you taking the time and coming on. Great to see you.
My pleasure, Steve. Anytime you need me back, you let me know.
Well, I need to talk to you. Just make sure I have some money after the summer's over. We got a sleepaway camp and all kinds of crap we got to deal with for next year. But thank you guys for joining us here on the show. We hope you gained some weekend insight to make a Monday impact. Have a great weekend. I will be hanging with my kids and sweating to death on Sunday playing softball. But we will see you next Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on talkradio.nyc. Bye-bye, everybody.